Today I'll be discussing how effectively Daniel utilises principles of biomechanics in his swimming stroke, and how he can improve them. Biomechanics studies the forces and effects of them on the human body whilst completing a certain movement. When a force is applied to the body, it can be analysed to determine its cause and effect to ensure the most efficient action is taking place. Isaac Newton's laws of physics can be applied to swimming strokes in several circumstances. His laws can be utilised to correct the stroke and further develop it. His third law states that, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When applied to swimming, it shows that the more energy put into a stroke, the same amount will be exerted by the athlete. This coincides with the law of conservation of energy as well, and this means that a swimmer with the best efficiency will not only conserve energy, but take advantage of it to propel them through the water. First, we can look at how Daniel personally utilises principles such as force, motion, fluid mechanics, and methods of propulsion in his swimming stroke. To gain the most amount of displacement in his stroke, it can be seen that he is reaching as far in front of the water as possible. By doing this, he is reducing the amount of strokes per lap, thus saving energy, and also catching as much water as possible. By then channeling an entire arm's length of water past him, he gains the most possible amount of propulsion per stroke. Reducing drag and turbulence will also result due to lack of disturbance in laminar flow, as seen in the video. When looking at the movement of his body while swimming, it can be seen that his shoulders rotate for several reasons. Firstly, he reduces frontal resistance as parts of his shoulders are actually out of the water and not facing forwards as they would be if kept horizontal. Secondly, it allows his arm to be fully extended to grab the water in front of him, as discussed before. And thirdly, it makes breathing much easier as his head won't have to move as much, so that it can be kept facing down as much as possible. Streamlining is an important technique used by swimmers to decrease turbulence and resistance. As seen in the footage, his head is always facing down to ensure that he is streamlined. By doing this, his centre of buoyancy is closer to his chest, therefore allowing his legs to stay afloat whilst he is swimming. If Daniel's head was to face forward even the slightest, his legs would fall, as seen when he's breathing in this picture. An important error to state would be that Daniel's breathing technique is detrimental to his whole swimming stroke. A simple error such as this causes a massive increase in resistance and slows him down greatly. As you can see, his head pops up slightly just before he breathes, and this causes the rest of his body to dip further in the water. Incorrectly breathing, frequently like Daniel does here, forces his body to swim in a wave-like pattern, rather than staying flat. This is evident when his legs and hips drop below the water every time he breathes, therefore causing this effect. Rather than looking forwards every time he breathes, he can keep his head horizontal and breathe through the corner of his mouth, and this will completely fix this mistake. A kicking drill with a kickboard will aid in Daniel breathing to the side, as he can focus on doing so. An improvement in his speed will result, thus an overall better time for the swim section of his aquathon. Another technique that could be improved is his hand entry into the water. With every stroke, his forearm and sometimes his whole arm will slap the water. This substantially increases resistance and is detrimental to his stroke. By focusing on just the fingertips entering the water, the resistance will be reduced and the propulsion increased. Daniel's kicking has major room for improvement. As you can see, his legs are bent and are kicking uncontrollably in the water, therefore increasing the disruption in laminar flow and drag. The recommended technique when kicking is to rotate from the hips and to keep your legs relatively straight. Also, ensuring that your ankles are kept straight will reduce turbulence and drag. To amend this, any kicking drill will help as it is the main aim as part of the activity. Over the long term, fixing this technique will reduce turbulence and lap times. In conclusion, his stroke is quite effective, but there is always room for improvement. Altering simple techniques such as hand entry and breathing will considerably improve his general performance by decreasing resistance and increasing propulsion.